Recording.
Good morning. This is Lieutenant Colonel Peter Cross, Commander of the Recruiting and Retention Battalion, talking to you from the Fairfield headquarters from Team Concord. And it is 3 July, and I'd like to first wish you all a happy Independence Day. Our country is 236 years old, still a very young country, and we have a lot to do, not just in our own country, but in our Army and our own command here in Recruiting Retention. And what I want to do is convey to you some of my thoughts as we roll into the final quarter for TY 2012. First, I want to address the month of June. We were on track to have our poorest month when we were on 20 June, and then many of you surged, and we ended up having one of our better months. Not only did we meet mission, we exceeded mission. And for that, I'm terribly appreciative. It took a lot to get there, though. As many of you are aware, I had those NCOs that were not on mission work a particular weekend, and I knew that was not going to be a popular decision. Specifically, I knew that affecting June production for that weekend that I had you work wasn't probably going to materialize. So not only did I take away the weekend, in many ways I wasted your time. But I'd like for you to look at it from my perspective, and that is, up to this point I haven't done anything like that. And at some point, as the commander of this battalion, I need to hold everyone accountable for their monthly mission as well as their yearly mission. And one of the things I've sensed from talking to many of you is that there's an acceptance that there will be poor months. But what's important is that at the end of the year, that the number is met, your mission number is met for the year. Indeed, that is important, but I want to convey to you my commander's guidance on this. The monthly and the yearly mission are equally important. As many of you know, there are budget fights going on in Congress as we speak. The Air Guard in particular has lost resources, and decisions are being made on a month-to-month basis. And so what happens is congressional leadership takes snapshots of particular times. So they're not sensitive to the end of your mission when they're making force structure decisions. And I need you to appreciate that your mission, your monthly mission, goes well beyond just your in particular case. It goes to the national cause of keeping a strong and robust National Guard. And I really need to have you think in those terms. And I know many of you that probably ended up working in June had a wonderful May and probably a wonderful April. And the thought is, or the impression is, you're as good as your last performance if you have to work on a particular weekend. I'd rather you not look at it that way. I'd rather you look at it as an organizational decision that if you're not on mission for a particular month, you will end up doing extra duty near the last 2 weeks of the month. And it's not personal. It's about the mission, and it's about the organization. And I would ask that you step outside of yourselves and consider that perspective as we finish out July, August, and September. So on this one point, my message to you is this. I need you to meet the monthly mission. I also need you to consider bringing in half of your mission at the first part of the month and the other half of your mission at the second part of the month. That is better for resource management at the MEPS, it's better from a national perspective, and it's just good all around business. I will tell you that we are going to institute mechanisms in TY13 to do just that, but for now I want to make sure during the fourth quarter we have as little change as possible, because we're just getting our sea legs under us right now, and we are running. I do want to make one mention of the 30% of the force that is still way behind on their mission. And I find this to be totally unacceptable. And what's wholly unfair is that we have about 30 to 35% of our command that's carrying the water on our overall mission. If they were not meeting mission and exceeding mission, we would have an abject failure year. And we are not failing this year. We are holding the line on strength, because that 30 to 35% of excellent performers is carrying the water. And this part of the message is talking to you 30% that are not carrying your weight. And I really need you for July, August, and September to consider that fact. And how are you going to finish out this year? Are you going to limp into the finish line, or are you going to sprint? Are you going to let the same excellent performers carry your weight, or are you going to carry your own weight? And what is that going to take in terms of time, commitment, your day-to-day activities, your dedication when no one's looking, when your team NCOIC isn't breathing down your neck? What are you doing with your time? These are the questions you need to answer during the final quarter. I shouldn't have to incentivize that. That's your job. And so what I'm asking you to do is meet your obligation during this last quarter. And I think there's no reason why you can't. I believe in you. I'm not going to fire you. I don't have a team of recruiters waiting in the wings to come in. You are our team, but I need you to perform this final quarter. I want to talk about promotions. We are in the process of waiting on the EPS list to be published. Some of you will start to see some lateral moves from outside the command. I want you to know what my philosophy is on this, because my concern is that you start to see lateral appointments and instantly conclude that there's no upward mobility. And that's not true. What I'm trying to achieve, the effect I'm trying to achieve, is balance. I want some positions filled through lateral appointment, and I want some positions filled through promotion. So we have a balance. This command is made up of a lot of NCOs that have been assigned to this command for over 8 years. That's not good. That's not the sign of a healthy organization. And it's not any particular person's fault. The fact is, we're going to have to change this dynamic slowly over time. And this is my way of doing it, by balancing how we fill positions. There is, to no surprise, a dynamic that happens. The first year of an RNCO's career is spent learning the job. There's a high performance peak period from 2 to 5 years, and then that starts to trail off after 5 years. The Army recognizes this in all its jobs. That's why there is a normal dynamic of rotation in Army jobs, whether you're talking about the active component, the National Guard, or the United States Army Reserve. We should be no different. Assignments to RNCO positions are prestigious. And this is the message that needs to be conveyed to the field, and I'm working on that with the brigade commanders and the leadership at the Army headquarters. But I wanted to weigh in on that because I'm very concerned that nobody is disillusioned when we start bringing in people from the outside. That I'm aware that we have very high performers at the E5 and E6 level that want opportunities at the E7 level within the command. I want to talk about GSA vehicles. It's a topic that's been addressed in different venues. Your non-commissioned officer leadership has probably addressed it. I want to mention it. Taking care of our GSA vehicles is important. It is our bread and butter to do our job. We had a cut in our GSA assets about 6 months ago, and it was going to be way deeper than we experienced. And the Command Sergeant Major and I engaged National Guard Bureau on a daily basis to keep the assets that we have currently assigned to the command. And I just want you to be aware of the energy and the calories that were burnt keep our fleet at the level it's at. And so I need you to keep the tires filled, I need you to keep the interiors clean and the exteriors clean, and I need you to take care of your vehicles. The other day I signed for a vehicle. I personally filled the tires. I personally scrubbed the bugs off the windshield. I'm not asking you to do anything I wouldn't do. Take care of your GSA vehicles. Don't take them for granted because they're new. We are going to need those as we roll into TY13. And that's how I want to close today. I want to talk about TY13. As you can remember, our first quarter in TY12 was, to put it mildly, confusing. I want to give you some clarity right now. Even though I haven't been to the Personnel Readiness Summit, where we delineate what our mission is going to be for the next year, I want to pass on to you that that should be invisible to you. My expectation as we roll into 1 October 2012, the beginning of the TY13, is that every recruiter bring in 2 applicants per month. And that's how we're going to start, and that's how we're going to finish. And there's not going to be a process of orders, rescinding that, taking it away, changing it. You need that clarity, and I owe that to you. And this YouTube message is historical record of me saying that's the expectation when we start on 1 October. It's even across the board. I think it's a fair standard, and I think it's easier to manage the mission that way, to be quite honest. So that's what we're going to do for TY13. There may be some subtleties. Company commanders may be listening to this and understanding it for the first time. They may have some feedback. That is my intent, as we will develop an operations order in August or September for TY13 to give you your mission. Finally, you may be hearing this on the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, or the 6th. I don't know when you're going to watch it, but I wanted to pass on my congratulations. At the end of the day, the command is doing its job. And you have rallied beautifully, especially that 35% that has carried the water. I cannot thank you enough. And there's a middle group that's doing okay. They have good months and bad months. And so I don't want to dismiss the accomplishments of that group. I've already addressed the bottom 30%, but I wanted to congratulate you on what you're doing. I did want to wish you again a happy Independence Day, a safe Independence Day, and I look forward to seeing many of you in the field. This is Integrity 6.